to Giant Goofballs, a New York Giants podcast. Are you a goofball that loves Giants football? If so, sit back and relax. Except you, that person driving. Sit up and keep your eyes on the road. Your ears, though, can still listen as we talk about the team that both excites and frustrates us so much. And now, here are your goofball hosts, Drew and Rob.
Welcome, fellow goofballs, the two giant goofballs, the New York Giants podcast. I am Drew, joined as always by...
Me, I'm Rob. Let's get talk about some actual games.
A game? Ooh, like Jumanji?
Yes, like the first one. So this is the board game, not the actual game.
Oh, I actually just finished watching the board game, too. What a scary thing. Legitimately, we just finished watching that before we came on here. But again, it does hold up, except the CGI is really crappy.
Well, yeah, you're talking about 1995 CGI.
Yeah, but still, I could do a better CGI now at home than these guys could back then. I know.
Yeah, Tommy. So what? Docs. Who wasn't
not
Jurassic
me, but
Park?
somebody with actual CGI talent, I should say. All right, guys.
CGI.
So yeah, we finally had an actual game, but it was a preseason game. So let's not get too excited. I mean, let's be honest, preseason, not always the most fun thing to watch in the world. I know we probably shouldn't say that when we're about to sit here and talk about the game, but it is what it is. We don't lie. We call it like it is. Preseason games are not exactly the most fun, especially when they don't play most of the starters. If you were tuning in Friday night to see, Daniel Jones, Saquon Barkley, Darren Waller, guess what, guys?
You tuned into the wrong game.
Yes, sir. Very, very disappointed. Apparently, because they had practiced so hard together for 2 days, they sat most of the starters. The good news is, though, we did get a good chance to see a lot of the backups here, which is...
And the Brooks.
Yes, which is somewhat good and somewhat not so good. So we're going to go over everything there with you. Before we get started with talking about the game, we do have a few NFL notes overall to give. First off,
breaking news.
Are we doing it? Are we doing the breaking news thing?
We can do it because it just happened like within the past hour.
Oh, yes, it did. I don't know. Do we even have the breaking news thing? I haven't used the breaking news thing in here in so long. Here we go.
Which AFC team do we talk about first here?
So, wait, which AFC East team even are we going to talk about first? Yeah, so let's go in chronological order. That makes sense. So the first running back to sign today was Ezekiel Elliott, who has signed officially with the New England Patriots. So overall, it's a one-year deal, $1 million signing bonus, $3 million salary, and another $2 million in possible incentives. So
way different from that $20 million.
Yeah, way different. Way different. He didn't break any records there. And then later on this evening, Dalvin Cook officially signs with the New York Football Jets there. I have to say it that way since we say New York Football Giants. New York Football Jets. Not to be confused with the Winnipeg Jets. $7 million, 1 year, $7 million with another $1.6 million potential in incentives. So we talked all off season about Saquon and running backs in general, their contracts, and what we're doing fair by Saquon. Dalvin Cook is coming off one of his best years he's had in his career. Now, is Dalvin Cook Saquon? Nope. Is he close? I would say that's not crazy to say they're somewhat close. It's not. Again, they're not the same tier, but Dalvin Cook is one tier right below him, if that makes sense. That's a fair statement to say.
That's fair.
Okay. So in the end, Dalvin Cook maximizes at 8.6 if he gets everything. Saquon Barkley, though, he gets $11 million if he gets everything. So, you can sit there and talk about, were we fair to Saquon? I mean, I think these deals tell you that we kind of were. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's definitely looking
I mean,
like.
you're just saying Cook, but also at the same time, like, granted, Elliott didn't look like himself, but he also was setting some records with that crazy, contract he had with the Cowboys. And what they do? They cut him for him to what? Make $5 million, $6 million,
Yeah, I mean, it's just
third of the salary he should have made this year.
people don't pay running backs anymore, and right or wrong, it is what it is. That's what's going on. And he got what is a market value. And I think, again, this continues to solidify the fact that he got market value because he got, you figure 8 million, 11 million. So almost 1.5 times what Dalvin Cook got.
Yeah, that's about right.
Yeah. So, I mean, the Giants did right by him. And this just continues to solidify that the running back position, it just doesn't get paid anymore. So that's not a Saquon problem. That's not a Giants problem. It's an NFL issue that they'll probably look at next CBA. But for now, again, just solidifies the Giants did right by Saquon.
That's what they got to do. They did what they had to do.
All right. On to the injury notes. Oh, yes, the injury notes. So injury note-wise here, Colin Johnson did not practice today. He's having a knee issue there, so we'll have to keep an eye on that. As Colin Johnson, obviously, is a guy on the bubble. Will he make it? Will he not make it? I know he's kind of a fan favorite after how he kind of had a really good preseason last year. I think I made my opinion pretty well known, but I'm not a fan. But like I said, you still got to root for the guy because he's a Giant. Evan Neal also remains still in concussion protocol, which has been quite the long protocol. And part of me wonders if the Giants are going to hold on to this as long as they can just to prevent him from having any issues. Just let it all subside, let everything get better, and then start them off fresh and new in the season.
That would make the most sense, especially after what happened last year. There was question concussion protocol preseason. Yeah. Why are you going to put him in to get concussed?
Exactly. Let him rest. Let him get 100%. Don't take the risk that he gets, God forbid, another one that quickly back to back. You don't want to two of him,
Yeah.
So
two of him or two of him. Oh,
I don't know. I want a two.
What a two for the season.
And then we also have defensive lineman DJ Davidson has passed his physical officially. He is coming off the PUP list there. So we have another defensive lineman to add to the mix here. And good for him because, let's be honest, he needs to get off the PUP list just to have a chance to make the team. He's not a guy who's guaranteed a spot by any means. Now he's got a couple weeks to show he can do and, hopefully make his case, to go ahead and be a Giant this season or at least make the practice squad this season. We do also have, and this is breaking just about 35 minutes ago, as Nick Mann was in the comments section discussing it. Alex Collins has died. He's a former running back, played for a few different teams overall. Very, very young.
Hi, Nick.
28. No cause of death given yet. So, definitely prayers with his friends and family. And that's young, dude. That's not fun situation for anybody. All right, let's get on to more fun news, though. The pre
football. The first game the Giants have played in the 2023 season.
This is the first game the Giants have played since we lost to the Eagles for the third time in the postseason.
Yeah.
And we lost again. We lost again.
No one can blame DJ at this time.
Spoiler alert, final score 21-16. The Lions win.
What?
I know. Listen, it's I can say at the beginning of the show. If you didn't, the game was on Friday. It's now Monday. If you didn't know, it's on you. Officially, it's on you.
If you're also watching the review game of the game that happened,
yes.
Spoilers. You should probably watch the game first.
Yeah. So let's go over the quarterbacks first. I know everybody always wants to talk quarterbacks, obviously. So obviously, Daniel Jones, like we said, did not play. Apparently, he was very busy, apparently working at the Hugo Boss store. If anybody happened to see that New York Giants video they had out where Hugo Boss is doing a line of Giants gear, and they put Daniel Jones to work at one of the Boss stores. to see if people would recognize him. People did eventually. Yes, I made the comment before, and I'll say it again. I want Kevin Boss to only be wearing Giants Boss gear from now on. I think it'd be hilarious. Just Boss Giants right on there. Spectacular. But yeah, Tyrod Taylor started the game. Again, the guy's been in the league for like 37 years, it feels like. So, he's not a guy that I'm concerned with him coming into a game and not knowing what he's doing. Legs looked really good. Arm.
It's also not like he really threw it that much.
No, and the Giants seemed definitely afraid to let him even throw it for some reason down the field. Overall, he was 3 of 3 for 7 yards. So think about that. That's like 2 1/3 yard break for throw average. That's not very much. It had 2 rushes for another 7 yards as well.
He broke even. Good night, AC.
The big star overall was Tommy DeVito at the quarterback position.
And this is a guy we talked about too that we're both like very questionable about. But
yeah, you know what it is? A lot of the media people that go to the practices and all have been talking very negative about him. Very negative.
Yeah. That's a pretty fair statement there.
Yeah. But he looked good.
Yeah, he didn't look like he got pantsed.
No, he didn't. He had pants on the entire time.
Yeah.
It was just amazing how many times he got hit.
Yeah. Well, especially in that second half. Once the third string offensive line came out, the fourth string, that guy was running. Well, he wasn't really running that much. He just got beat up.
I know the offensive line is supposed to be the one protecting the quarterback, but someone needs to protect the offensive line because, oh my God, if these guys get hurt, the starters were in trouble. Tommy DeVito overall, 15 of 24, 155 yards and 1 touchdown. He was sacked 5 times, though. That's the big thing. He was sacked 5 times. They didn't play the whole goddamn game and got sacked 5 times.
I think 4 of those were in the fourth quarter.
Yep, 4 rushes, 11 yards. And I got to say, too, watching the sacks, one of the things that you look at and you go, okay, he's a rookie quarterback. He's still learning to play the position in the NFL. Were they his fault to a certain degree? Was he holding on to the ball too long? Was he not making the right movement? I don't think that was the case.
No,
that's not what I saw at all. In fact, I saw him extend plays with his legs and make the right moves when he had to at certain points.
Yes, and now I kind of understand why our coaching staff went after a guy like DeVito because guess what? What does our first string do? Extends plays with his legs. What does our second string do? Extends plays with his legs. So why not have the third string guy extend play with his legs? It just works right into the system that you already have in place.
Oh yeah.
Once we'll get there too. I don't want to get too much on the offensive line, but once our actual starter center, who was one of the starters of this game, he left, it was all downhill.
Yeah. But rumor has it the Giants actually signed Tommy DeVito so they can get his uncle Danny to show up at the training camp. I'm not sure if that's
well, he'll be in the parking lot selling Jersey Mikes.
Oh, Danny DeVito is not his uncle, by the way. There's no relation.
He'll be in the parking lot. He'll be in the parking lot selling Jersey Mikes. So just tailgate.
Now, I don't think one preseason game ever wins you a job. I'll never say that. But one preseason game can lose you a job.
Oh.
And he definitely didn't lose anything in this. If anything, if he continues on this kind of path for the rest of the preseason here, he's making that case to be a third string quarterback 100%, where that'll be his job. And that'll be potentially a gateway to being the backup quarterback next year. Remember, Tyrod Taylor is not signed past
last
this year.
year.
Yes, we need a backup quarterback of the future. And that gives him a year to prove to the Giants, to prove to Dable and Shane and the Giants brass overall that this is a guy that can take that spot. And being a Daniel Jones backup is a nice spot to be. I'm not trying to talk trash here. You guys know I'm trying to be level-headed about Daniel Jones always. But the guy has a pretty significant injury history. Last year was the only year he actually played every game. So if you're going to be a backup and you're going to be a young backup, that's who you want to back up, is the guy that has a history of missing 1 or 2 games, give you an actual shot to play, and give you a chance to show other NFL teams what you can do. So they might look at you as a potential starter, you know? You hear it every year. There's 1 or 2 guys that were backups. They go, maybe we should bring this guy, and he could be a starter. We saw what he did in this couple games when so-and-so was hurt. Happens all the time.
Oh, yeah.
So, all right, we do got a couple comments here before we go too much further past the quarterbacks here into the running backs here. Deb says, can I hold on my opinion of Danny DeVito? LOL. It's women's prerogative.
Tommy DeVito.
You can, well, no, listen, I think we all know, we all know that Danny DeVito is a treasure to this country. There's no opinion to hold there. But Tommy DeVito, yes, you can hold your opinion on Tommy because who knows what's going to happen with Tommy Boy. It was one game. I don't want to go too crazy here. So she also says, I was never a Tyrod Taylor fan. I like him as a backup. I would not like him as a starter. I think he's good as a backup, though. Connor says, yo, Tommy, I didn't hear no bell. Of course, making a reference to the Rocky Balboa movies there. That was what, Rocky 5? Yeah, that's the
one that we all forgot about.
Yeah, that was the really crappy one that killed the franchise.
For 20 years until Rocky Balboa came out.
Yes, which was also not that good. People just like
it definitely was a lot better. It was up there.
Yeah. It was definitely it was better than Rocky 5, but it wasn't any better than the first 4.
I mean, they're also classics.
I know. I have AMC. I saw them pop up. American Movie Classics. I get it. Let's see. Mark's on it. What's up? He goes, what up, guys?
What are you doing, Mark?
Connor says, what up, back to him. Then he says, I've been an advocate for Minshew or Mariota backing up Jones. It all depends on a lot of things. Money. I'm fine with also a young quarterback being the backup because I don't think Minshew or Mariota are the guys going to get you into the playoffs if something catastrophe-wise happens. So, I like the idea of having a really good backup when you have a young, unproven starter. You're not sure what you got. Daniel Jones is in his 5th year. He's got to get past that stage. It's time.
Yeah.
It's time.
Make it or break it. Let's go.
Shit or get off the pot. That's what it boils down to. So, not to bring up the Cleveland Browns, but Connor all says, what up, Deb? Connor's in a very cordial mood. You see this? He's like saying hi to everybody. Right. This is very un-Connor-like. I'm waiting for him to like do a whole like spiel of like verbal assaults of curse words and all. Like, I'm not sure what happened. He's being very, very nice. And, look, everybody's saying, hey, Connor, back to him and everything. Ooh. It's like
he's Stone Cold Steve Austin no time.
Yeah, it's like everybody's all happy. Everybody's all happy that football's back. And they're like, hello, top of the morning to you.
Jolly good, Governor.
All right, let's get to the running backs here because this is we talked about how good Tommy DeVito looked, which again he looked great. I want to overplay it because he was playing a bunch of scrub people and stuff like that. But for a guy that we thought might not be even this year's, but yeah, like this is a bad group on this game here, a really bad group. But I'm going to give you each individual guy and where they were at. So Matt Breida, 1 rush, 1 yard. Not good. Not good. Not very difficult to figure out the yard per carry average there.
1 carry the 1. The 1. 1 yard. 1 yard. Yes.
Yeah. Eric Gray, 5 carries for 9 yards.
So we'll talk about him in a little bit.
Yeah, we got better than 1 yard at least.
Yeah.
James Robinson.
He shined somewhere else.
James Robinson, 6 carries for 9 yards. Jashawn Corbin, the one guy who had decent numbers here, 3 rushes for 40 yards. Now, I should say, though, one of those rushes for 33 yards. So, if you take Corbin out for a second, Breida, Gray, and Robinson combined for 19 carries, 41 yards. That's really bad. Like, Historically bad, really bad. Yeah. And you can blame it on the line. You can also blame it on the rain. But in the end,
Yeah. I mean, we're in a dome. Blame it on the rain.
It's a song, Rob. It's a song.
Oh, it's not. You're a song.
It is a song by Milli Vanilli, by the way. Oh, yes. The classic band, Milli Vanilli, who just had just amazing voices that no one ever got to hear. But you can blame it on the line all you want. In the end, if you're getting just over 2 yards a carry, there's something to be said for the running backs and their abilities as well. James Robinson, I thought, looked like so slow, it's not even funny. I had not seen him play, obviously, since he played for the Jets last season. I didn't see any tape of him with the Patriots or anything. Obviously, he's had some issues with injuries the last couple of years there. He looks like a player that just lost any speed he had. Like, I felt like me and my bum, knees, and ankle and back and all could run out in the field faster than he did. Like, it just did not look good.
Well, with your height, Drew, if you just took a step forward and fell down, you probably would have the same amount of yards, same amount of attempts.
See, the problem is sometimes I take 2 steps forward and take 2 steps back.
I'm just saying take 1 step forward and fall forward. You don't even have to take the second step, just fall forward.
Okay. We gotta get you caught up on the 90s references here. First you missed the Milli Vanilli. Now you missed the Paula Abdul. Come on.
Oh, I got the Paula Abdul. I was putting the math in there.
Wow. Like that cartoon cat just making the mess of the place. So, but like I say, I think James Robinson is safe to say not going to be around. Just based on that performance there, unless all of a sudden he flips a switch. Eric Gray, I still think he's going to be in a battle for Gary Brightwell. And, you know, if you look, Gary Brightwell did not play in this game at all. And I think that it's one of those cases that if he's not playing and you look at who else didn't play, that tells you that I think his spot is potentially secure within the team.
I'm not going to say secure. I think there's a lot of new guys in that position.
Potentially. I did say potentially.
Yeah, potentially. I hear what you're saying, but here's my counterpoint. Right? We know Brightwell has possibly a bright future here, but you also look at the new talent that we have here that has the potential to step up, and that's pretty much everyone they put into this game past week.
New talent with 19 carries and 41 yards. I'm just saying. I don't know if I'd say new talent. There's new personnel. I don't know if a new talent is
personnel. All right.
Considering.
Touche. But you know what I'm saying. Next week, you're probably going to see Brightwell in there. You might see DJ for.
Listen, you'll see probably all of them next week to a certain degree because a lot of times,
maybe one drive.
Play your starters at all. But again, I'm just saying, I think it's a telling sign. You can look at who didn't play. And unless there's injury issues we're not aware of, that to me tells me that their spot's probably secure.
I mean, you might not be wrong, but you also might not be right.
So yeah,
just saying. There's also starters that we're pretty confident that will be starting week 1 in the regular season that start this game. They just need a couple reps. When you look at a guy like Eric Gray, who was drafted, the 6th round this year? That's why he started. That's why he only had a couple steps.
See, I think you may be right. I may be crazy. Oh, but it just may be a lunatic you're looking for.
No, I don't want a lunatic. Get your songs out of here today.
So you got Milli Vanilli, Paula Abdul, Billy Joel. We're going like this is like old schools. We're gonna have like 20-year-old people like listen to the show today, going, "What the hell?"
Listen, they might not get Milli Vanilli. They might not get,
Listen, they should.
I was hanging out with the cat, but Billy Joel, everyone.
Billy Joel,
especially
sing me a song, The Piano Man. He's spectacular. Anyway. like I
I
said,
was about
I
to
just
ruin
think
it and be like, he's going down the yellow brick road. Oh wait, wrong guy.
to me, like I said, I just think that if you didn't play in this game and you were healthy, that's a sign to me that your spot is probably secure. And I again, things can change. I could be 100% wrong. This is maybe me reading too much into some things.
I
But when
think
I
so. Because
see
what are you saying about JMS?
rookie, there's a difference. He needs some
So
playing
it's Eric
time.
Gray, not a rookie.
He is, and I'm not saying that.
That's all I was trying to say.
Hold on. I didn't say that Eric Gray's spot is not secure. Eric Gray's spot is secure because he's a rookie. They're not going to draft him and then not let him onto the roster. But it makes me wonder more and more if we are going to keep 4 running backs on this roster and then probably put a guy Corbin on the practice squad.
That's probably what's going to happen.
Because then you got.
We'll talk about that when we get later into the podcast. Why I ain't going to say that.
Oh, I think I know why you're saying it. I think I know.
We'll leave it as a cliffhanger. But then we'll watch the game.
Now you're making a Sylvester Stallone reference. It's the second Stallone reference in the show. Such a bad movie cliffhanger. Anyway, let's talk about the receivers because that's been the talk of much of the offseason because we've been picking up receivers left and right nonstop. If you are a receiver and you are not A tier but B tier, we probably looked at you. That's basically where we're at.
And if you're A tier, that ATL surgery, now you're 3rd tier. We also looked at you.
Like not even a look, we just signed away without even a practice or a look. So first
ACL?
up, Cole
ACL
Beasley. ACL? Who needs that? Cole Beasley, number 1 here.
You got a doctor for that.
Cole Beasley led the team with 4 catches on the night. Also got smacked, like shellacked pretty bad by rookie Brian Branch on the second drive on a nice short catch. But he held on to the ball. So that's why I want to bring that one up because kudos to him. He held on to the ball. He seemed pretty dependable when he was in there. He definitely seemed like he had, something left in the tank there. And I fully expect that we're going to see him have a decent role now just based on how we're seeing him play. Again, I hate to read too much into a preseason game, but he seemed to be open all the time. They had gadget plays with him at that point in there specifically for him. I think it's pretty safe to say he's going to make the team at a bottom level receiver that you'll probably see in there during important plays because he's just been clutch his whole career. It's what he does. He's the guy you want to throw to on 3rd down.
He's people question him after the moves from last year, coming out of retirement, come to the Giants, his age, and he's kind of just proven like this is what he's done his whole career. And he was told straight up from Shane, like, hey, you have to prove why you need to be on this roster. And preseason week 1, he's shown why he should be a low tier receiver on this roster.
Yeah. And Joe Shane said to him point blank, straight up, now tell me, is it going to be you and me forever? It's like Name That Tune episode. But yeah, like I said, I'm not saying he's going to be a top receiver for us. I'm not trying to say anything outlandish, but I think he's going to have a role in this offense, and I think it's pretty obvious based on how that game went on Friday that he is. So, next up, a guy that has become very much a fan favorite because of the highlight catches he had in college, which totally, bypassed all the different, cases of him dropping the ball, having all kinds of issues like that, because he definitely had those. Bryce Ford Wheaton, 0 catches. 0 catches, 3 targets, tied for the second most targets on the team. Got an offensive pass interference that took away what would have been his first NFL catch. And yeah, to me, we said this in the beginning when we first signed him. He's a project. He's a guy who drops the ball worse than Slayton. He's a guy who is very raw and needs a ton of work. He has potential because of his size. but you're going to have to, and his speed, but you're going to have to give him patience and time to go ahead and get that. So I think best thing for him is if we can get him on the practice squad, keep him on there for a year, let him kind of learn his craft a little better, learn to catch with his hands, learn to do a little bit of route running, and see next year if he can make the team. But I mean, you still got a couple weeks to prove me wrong. So, but
Yeah.
I
He
just
may
don't
make
see
the
it.
team, just not this year.
Yeah, I just don't see it. Next up, another fan favorite, Colin Johnson, who we talked about there having the knee injury. So before the injury, he had 0 catches on 1 target, not much. So not really much to talk about him, but I want to give you guys the update because this is one of those guys that fans just are rooting for because of, again, how he did last preseason. Jalen Hyatt. There's another one people are really, curious what's going on there. Targeted just 1 time. 1 catch. -4 yards. Not a good start.
The stats though don't do it justice.
No, not at all.
If you watch the game, like, what was his biggest criticism? Can't run a route. I saw this dude run a route nonstop, being wide open, but the QB in play just did not have time to throw him the ball.
Yes. And if you look up, if you just Google Jalen Hyatt versus the Lions, I have found it's DEVO Highlights Presents. They made a video specifically targeting Jalen Hyatt in that game, showing where he was, highlighting him, like giving a red circle beforehand so you can see how he did. He was open quite often. He really was. Now, was he, wide open? No. Was he coming back to the quarterback when he was in trouble? No. I don't want to make it seem like he was a perfect game and that people just weren't throwing him the ball. But he was getting open. He was running routes. Tommy DeVito just didn't have any time whatsoever to go ahead and get him the ball because he had like 5 people in his face within 2 seconds. So it'll be interesting to see what he does with the regular offense.
I think it was the middle of the second quarter, somewhere in that 7-mark range, I want to say, where he lined up on the left of the line and he ran this great slant play. It's just wide open halfway through the football field. Vito was just getting backed around, but it was wide open. If Vito had half an extra second, that would have been a first down play.
Yeah, there's a lot of plays I saw in that video where he was open. Some of them wide open. Some of them just, NFL was just behind him or something, but he was NFL open, exactly. Next up, another newcomer, Jamison Crowder. Jamison Crowder had 2 catches on 2 targets, 32 yards, included a third down catch as well that kept the play going, the drive going as well. He looked pretty good in the limited time we saw him as well. So, another guy on that bubble, trying to make the team, savvy veteran, and yeah, it's going to be interesting to see because we're going to have some decisions to make a wide receiver here, and it's not going to be fun because I guarantee we're going to cut 1 or 2 people that are legit NFL receivers that somebody else will pick up. So, all right, before we get onto the line, we're going to probably talk about the line for a minute here. Let's go ahead and go back to some of the comments here. Let's see here. Mark says, Mark liked Way, Drew. Hey, Rob, don't want to leave you guys out. Liked Way, Drew. Are we talking about your protein shake?
Oh.
Way. I'm confused.
No, like, hey, Drew. Hey, Rob. And he said, hey.
He said
hey to everyone else.
Liked Way, he said. Liked Way.
I think he meant say, like, hey, Drew. Hey, Rob. Didn't want to leave us out.
Okay. I thought he saw how buff I am and thought I'd give him,
No, he's trying to tell you, take some Way because those sleeves need to be filled up.
Wow. Listen, I don't want to fill these sleeves because I have tough enough time finding shirts that fit me lengthwise. I don't need to add the sleeve issue on top of that.
Good excuse.
Exactly. I think it is. And there's your dad. He's here too. He says, what up?
Hi, Dad.
Now let's see who wants to do the work to make the team. Exactly. This is the chance to shine if you want to make the team, especially if you're going to be guys on special teams.
Especially in that
special teams
wide
thing. That's a
receiver
big one. Mark says Breda is an all or nothing running back. One carry doesn't define him. Well, obviously one carry doesn't define him. I'm just saying. We're just making the joke because 1 carry, 1 yard, easy math. Even I can do that math.
Yeah, I
He
know.
also
And a
says
lackluster line.
Milli
Yeah.
Vanilli. Yes, Milli Vanilli. Connor says, better to find out now what to do with O-line and work on improving it before the regular season. I think that, honestly, I think the Giants have a pretty good idea of the lack of talent they have depth-wise at the line position. But we'll get into that in a minute here. Deb says, you falling forward, Drew, is good for 2 yards. Yeah,
that's what I was trying to say. Plus.
But again, if I take the 2 steps forward and
2.2
2 steps back, depends on if I follow.
But you're still going to be positive.
Mark says
then
some
if the
credits
Tom
to go
Gap's
to the
going to help
Lions.
push you forward.
Mark says some credits to go to the Lions D line. They looked quick off the ball. Yeah, again, he had backups playing backups. The Lions didn't play their guys either. So they should have been playing against like talent. That's why I'm saying I'm not going to give them credit. I mean, because we're here to talk about the Giants. The Giants, unfortunately, their offensive line just did not look good against them.
I mean, you could give them a little credit because the Lions, the Lions team themselves just look like a fast-paced team.
Nope, not going to give them any credit.
All together as a wholesome. I feel like they're a fast-paced team. That's how they're going to attack this year.
It's football. Football's not supposed to be wholesome. It's supposed to be smash mouth. Smash.
Yeah.
Hulk smash.
They smash. Smash.
All righty. Connor says, blame it on the rain that was falling. Blame it on the stars that didn't shine that night. Whatever you do, don't blame on you. Blame it on the rain. Yeah. I think this is the most time any group of people have talked about Milli Vanilli in the last 30 years, probably. It was spectacular.
Except for VH1.
And then Mark says, Breda should be a gadget back, not running back 2. He's only like 190, but fast as hell. Honestly, I think he's a good backup for Barkley because they have a similar skill set to a degree. They're both very fast. The only difference is Barkley obviously has the strength that Breda doesn't have as well to go with that speed. Mark also says, Brightwell is nothing special. He didn't do anything exceptionally well. He's okay at everything. I don't think that doesn't. I feel like that was meant to seem like he wasn't anything special because that's the first half. But he's okay at everything. That is special. Most guys that are backups are good at 1 or 2 things. This guy's okay at a bunch of things. That's not horrible. He's okay as a returner. He's okay as a runner. He's okay on special teams. Blocking and all and tackling. I mean, there's a lot worse, man. There's a lot worse than what that could be at that point. I will also remind you the guy averaged 4.5 yards an attempt last year as a running back. Obviously, he didn't get a lot of carries because no one did because Saquon Barkley was hogging the ball. But he still had 31 carries overall. So if you think about that as a game, 31 carries, if you're a good running back, is a game, basically. So for this season, he had 31 carries, 141 yards, and a touchdown. It's not bad in that sample size. Again, it's a small sample size, but in that sample size, he looked good. And I remember sometimes you'd see him in games and he'd just rip off a couple of quick 5-yard runs like it's nothing when other guys were struggling against the defenses. So again, I'm not sitting here saying that he's the greatest thing since sliced bread. I'm not saying he's the heir apparent to Saquon Barkley, but I do think as a backup, he's a good guy to have because he's very good at special teams.
Especially a third-string backup.
And he's shown you some things for potential at the actual running back position on offense. So like I said, I'm a little higher on Gary Brightwell. I think most people would be. And it was definitely one of those WTF moments when we drafted him, but I'm glad we did. Connor says, I could name that tune. Paula Abdul. Paula Abdul is the artist, not the tune, Connor.
You are wrong. Go back to the back of the line. What's up, John?
Wait. Well, buttons are going crazy here. Buttons are going crazy.
So which company you going with?
John's asking why you're in the kitchen. No, listen, John, he's in the kitchen. He's in the bedroom. He's wherever he wants to be. Rob is his own man. He goes where he wants. Damn it. He'll be the living room. He'll be the living room next episode. Don't worry. He said, "What's up, Roberto's daddy?" Let's see here. Deedon Shelton, what up, goofballs? Giants will have a memorable season. I'm hoping for good reasons, that's for sure. Oof. I'm really hoping for, a special season after all the crap we've been through the last couple of years prior to last year. All righty. Let's get into the talk on the offensive line, because that's where it's going to get a little negative. Let's start off talking about JMS here, because John Michael Schmitz had a good game, and I think we can say a little kudos to him before we get into the negative there. So,
yes,
overall, he had 19 pass blocking snaps, didn't allow a single pressure. That's according to PFF. Now, if you look at PFF's rating overall, they gave him a very high rating for his pass blocking and not a very good rating for his run blocking. I will say this. I think PFF is overrated in a lot of ways. I think it's a good guide to look at, but I think it's hard in run blocking scenarios specifically to give a grade, because if you don't know the play, you don't know what the hell he was supposed to do. That's like complaining about how your plumber did some work in your house when you have no clue how to plumb. Like, you have no clue what was supposed to happen here. How are you supposed to say if it was right or wrong? You know what I mean? But I think the pass blocking part is accurate, because that's nice and simple. You're just going to kind of, stand your ground, push people away, and not get the quarterback hit. That's a much more easy thing to spot on and see what you're supposed to do. He looked really good in the pass blocking. He looked really good overall. He had a good punch zone, I thought, overall. I think he was controlling people in front of him. I was pretty impressed with him. I'm pretty excited to see what he can do against higher level talent, because, again, I have to remind myself, he was playing guys that'll be backups. He should be beating those guys. So I don't want to get too ahead of myself and go, oh wow, we got a real steal here. I've been on record on saying he's probably was the best center in the draft. We really lucked out by getting him. I'm excited that we got him, but I don't want to sit there and say, oh, we had a great first preseason game. This is over. Here he is, all pro. 19 plays against the backup. Good start. But let's see what he does overall. There's still plenty of time. That's the thing about preseason. I think some people forget in these kind of games. When you're playing backups, you're not going to overly impress me. You're not. And I don't mean that in a negative way, or that anybody has to try to impress me specifically. But when you're playing a backup and you're a potential or supposed starter for an NFL team, you should look good.
Your thing is, when you're the B team, playing the B team, and you're trying to make the A team, looking good is not good enough. You have to look great.
I pity the fool.
So
we're going to A team here. We figured to do a little Mr. T. Yeah. So many 80s and 90s references tonight. But
I'm saying, if you want to go up to the next tier, you got to play like it. So, if you're just playing good against the tier you're at, you shouldn't get too hyped up about it. Yeah, you look good against the second team. You should look great against the second team for the first team, because then you should look good against the first team.
And then eventually, there's no more tiers, because the light in the window is a crack in the sky.
More tears.
Oh, just when you thought the musical references were over, I break out the Aussie. Sharon! I mean, what the hell, Sharon? It's supposed to be the bloody Prince of Darkness of it. But like I said, I think we need to look at them from that perspective. If you looked really solid, good. But if you look really solid and you're going to be a person that we're going to count on as a starter and you were playing a backup, I don't want to get overly excited either because you're playing a lower tier talent than what you probably will be doing in the regular season. Now, if you looked bad, that's where I'm going to hold more ground because let's say, okay, you didn't look good against the guy who's going to be riding the bench this season. That's an issue. That's where the issue comes into be. And that pretty much sums it up for a lot of the offensive line. So obviously Evan Neal didn't play. He's in concussion protocol. Obviously Andrew Thomas didn't play because that man pretty much walks on water and doesn't need to play in the preseason. Mark Glowinski also didn't play as well. Another veteran presence kind of guy. And I think they wanted to give the time more to Ezeudu and Bredesen to see those two as they're kind of competing for that left guard position still. But, besides JMS, there's not a single person that I can sit there and go, oh, wow, this person looked really good. If you want to pick out the battle between Bredesen and Ezeudu, I think Bredesen definitely looked better, though he did get beat for a sack in this game. But the big issue, and I know, if anybody else listens also to Talking Giants as well, Bobby Skinner, who's, guy's really good to listen to as far as offensive line work overall. He's been on it from the get-go, and I agree with him when I watched the tape that Ezeudu's punch point is way too high. So if anybody's ever played the position before, whether it's high school level, Pop Warner, whatever, it doesn't matter. The lesson is always the same. When you get that first pop, you want to try to get right beneath the shoulder pads and push up right there. Because if you do that, it's a good spot to hold without holding, so to speak, because you got something to kind of gravity grab, if that makes sense. Not that they're not going to grab the jersey while you're there for us a little bit. But you got something to hold on to a certain degree. But you're also, if you do it right and you push it up into them, you're going to push them back a little bit. That's just natural flow of, force there. When Ezeudu punches, he's way too damn high. He's like punching their shoulders. I even saw him hit, it looked like the chin strap of one of the plays. It's like he's punching way too high. And it's the same problem he had last year. And he just doesn't seem to improve that for some reason. I think Ben Bredesen was definitely the better of the two. I think he definitely looked a whole hell of a lot better than Ezeudu did. And I'm thinking Ezeudu is going to need some more time. And if he doesn't, listen and change his ways, he's going to have issues becoming a starter this league. He'll be a backup still. He's got the talent to be a backup, but he's going to have issues being a starter there.
100%.
And I think pretty much every tackle is like absolute crap.
Yeah,
I think it's a fair statement.
Especially once you get to the second half, like we don't need to name names. They all look like garbage. Way better than you and I, but
I am going to name a couple.
They're not far off.
So, Matt Pert, who again has looked the best, of all of the, potential swing tackle candidates there. He had a play where he was literally had to block for a running back a corner. And the corner pushed off him and got the tackle. The corner, who is like half his size almost.
About to say 50 pounds less.
That's not good. And you all know my thoughts on him. I've said forever. This is a guy who couldn't beat out Nate Solder. That tells you a lot. So, yeah, that's not good. Wyatt Davis definitely showed why he's been on 7 teams in the last 7 months. He's definitely not making the roster. He's definitely not any good, that's for sure. Corey Cunningham also looked absolutely horrendous. I think what's going to end up happening if this stays the way it was is that I think what's going to happen is that you're going to have an issue where the Giants are going to be like they were trying to get safeties last season at the cut day. I think it's going to be trying to get some backup offensive linemen on cut day because you got Matt Pert could be your swing tackle. You got Josh Ezeudu as your backup. There's not really, many other guys besides those two that I trust. And even those guys, I don't trust them. It's just that's the best we have. So I
was about to
wouldn't be
say, we
shocked
just
at all
talked about how you didn't trust him, but
I trust them the most of that group, which isn't much. Yeah. I trust them as much as I trust the hungry lab next to a steak.
For me.
Steak. Did someone say steak?
No, mistake. Kurt made a mistake.
I think, though, that in the end, like I said, I do think we'll look at that on cut day when the preseason's over and get one or two guys off of there. And we always make some moves like that, so nothing unusual there. All right, we got a couple more comments here. Then let's get into the defense. John says, something tells me we're going to be passing a lot this year anyway. Quick passes since we got a lot of guys to get open. And I agree. We got a whole bunch of quick slot guys. We got a whole bunch of yak guys. I think that's what you're going to see. And then the occasional throw it down the field to Hyatt or Slayton. John says, name that actor, Mr. T. Oh, you just named the actor. Why would I name him? You just did. John says, ref, throw a flag. He grabbed my nipple. Okay. Wow. It took it to a totally different place, John.
He's talking about getting that blow, pushed against the shoulder pads, man.
Didn't said, hope we didn't miss on that Josh E pick. We missed a lot of picks over the years. John says, girl, you know it's true. Ooh, 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 I love you. Yes, you know it's true. Ooh, I love you. Yes, you know it's true. Ooh, 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 I love you. Oh gosh. We got multiple going here because Rob's headset just died, his wireless. But yeah, more Milli Vanilli. So let's get into the defense side of things here. Because we do have really. I'm muting you, Rob, until that works. Give me the thumbs up when you're ready. So we talked about our struggles running the ball. The Detroit Lions also had a ton of trouble running the ball. So the defense gave up 97 rushing yards, which on paper goes, okay, that's not a low amount necessarily. But they did it on 33 attempts. That's a 2.9 yard per carry average. That's pretty good. That tells you the D-line did what they had to do. And again, this is the backups doing what they had to do. So it's good to see because we know Joe Shane made it a point this offseason to go ahead and stock up the D-line and get everything, going as far as stopping the run. Made it a point he wanted to stop the run this year. We did that. As far as the Lions QBs, they were 19 of 35. That's a 54 completion percent, 230 yards, 2 interceptions. That's a pretty big one there. 2 interceptions. Because remember, Giant fans, last year we had 8 total interceptions for the season. 8. How many dropped interceptions do we have where it went right in their hands and fell to the floor? We had 2 in the very first time the Giants hit the field this season. That's pretty nice. As far as the weapons, they really didn't put a lot of their bigger weapons out there, obviously, same as we didn't. Jameson Williams, the rookie, who's, of course, suspended for the first 6 games because of gambling. 2 catches, 18 yards, 7 targets. So keep in mind, he was injured last year a lot, didn't play a lot necessarily. So we still don't 100% know what he's going to be in the NFL. But that's the biggest talent receiving-wise that the Lions had out there. Obviously, Amon-Ra St. Brown wasn't playing as much as I'd really hoped to see him play. And the guy, of course, that was covering him was Deonte Banks. We've talked about Deonte Banks and how he seems to have struggled so far in practice and everything. Well, he didn't struggle Friday. Didn't struggle at all. So 23 coverage snaps overall. 3 times he was targeted. 0 receptions. That comes courtesy of NFL Rookie Watch. So that's a pretty damn good, start to a career there. Trey Hawkins also looked pretty good. Obviously, it's another guy we're all keeping an eye on. Comes with some pretty big expectations now because of how he's been during training camp or practices and overall. And one thing I really liked about both those guys watching them, neither one of those guys seemed afraid to tackle. And that's one that drives me nuts with corners. I hate to see corners that arm tackle or have trouble overall, just getting the guy down if he does catch it, or running up and stopping the running back on a sweep route or something like that. This is nice to see that you get two young cornerbacks that both aren't afraid to hit. Now, did either one of them seem like all pro tacklers? No, but most corners aren't. I just want to see that you're willing, you're ready and able to tackle if need be. It's an important skill that you don't see a lot of guys doing. Another star of the defense we had was Baldonado, the rookie free agent, who had one official sack, but had another one taken away by a penalty. And he also had a QB hit in the game as well that led to a bad pass as well. So really good star for a guy that, you heard about a little bit coming in when we first got him. You weren't quite sure what to think of him yet. Came from Pitt, so obviously came from a decent sized school. Wasn't like he came from East Carolina Technical College of Christian University or some kind of small looking nothing school but he looked pretty decent. So I think his stock is definitely up after that overall. I think Timon Fox's stock is also up. He looked pretty good overall. He had a big pressure and QB hit. We'll talk about that in a minute. That definitely was a huge play. I think the one guy in this game from the edge room that looked really horrendous was O'Shane Zimenez, a guy that a lot of us were kind of shocked to see back on the roster again, because this was the guy that, we kind of looked at this at the end of the season going, are we really going to get O'Shane Zimenez back again? Is this guy coming back for a fifth season? Hasn't played much, hasn't shown much. Had a, okay rookie year, I guess you can say, for where he got picked. But past that has done nothing pretty much. And yeah, he did not look good. Didn't do much to change my opinion of him whatsoever at that point. So it's another group that I can really see us looking to add on and getting more players onto later on, is that edge group. We've talked about that before, where I'd love to get a veteran in there. I've mentioned Justin Houston, who's since been signed. I've still mentioned JPP, who's still out there as well. I'd love to get a veteran edge rusher that can provide extra help on the obvious passing downs, but also help mentor Kayvon Thibodeau and Azeez Ojulari. We have two high-profile young edge rushers. And obviously they got guys like Strahan and Justin Tuck and O.C. Umenyiora and people like that come into the Giants facility on a regular basis and help them. I think it'd be a great person to get a veteran presence for is that edge room. To have a guy that you can sit there and say, okay, you've done it. Show them how to be a pro. Because they're young, they need help. And not a guy that played 10 years ago, but a guy who's been playing. So we'll see. We'll see if that option comes up, though. So welcome back, Rob, by the way. Welcome back.
I'm back. I made it.
All right. We do got a couple more comments here, all from John. John says, Roberto needs a voice and sound guy, LOL. He also says, Baldonado, we will call him Baldy, like the NFL guy, Brian Baldinger. No, it'll get confusing then. We got like Baldy talking about Baldy. John says, also bring JPP back. I'm down, JPP. Yeah, you know
me.
Oh, I know what you did there. Oh, yeah. Even the comment section is going into the music. Who down with OPP? Yeah, you know me. Let's see. Let's talk about the secondary, the safeties a little bit here, because we talked about some of the young corners. And I was trying to be good. I didn't also mention that Cordell Flott should have had a touchdown against him, but luckily the ball wasn't thrown right. But let's talk about the two safeties that had interceptions in this game, because that's the big thing. Again, we've talked about this just a couple minutes ago. The Giants could not get interceptions for the life of themselves last year.
No.
It's like they put some kind of slippery substance on their hands to purposely not catch the ball. Like it would hit them right in the damn numbers and they would drop it. And it wasn't one particular play, it was all of them. So Dane Belton got an interception in this game. Just it literally was that kind of scenario. The guy threw it wrong, misread where the route was going, went right into the chest of Dane Belton. So it wasn't that he made an amazing play, but what he did is he caught it. And considering how the Giants have played last year, that is amazing unto itself. He caught it. The big one we got to talk about is the guy that is, to me, the star of the game, which is crazy to say because he played in 5 plays. Usually your star of the game does not play only 5 plays. But it's Jason Pinnock, who I think has 100% solidified himself as the starting safety, just based on how he played.
You talked about earlier, one game, especially preseason, doesn't guarantee you a starting position. But this guy proved that he's been showing himself why he should be the starter in practice, OTAs and everything. Opening drive solidified everything.
Yeah. So very first play of the game, Pinnock gets the interception. And one thing that I didn't think got enough credit in this whole scenario was the pressure on Sudfeld to make him throw that. Timon Fox was literally the process of bringing him down as he threw the ball. Fox deserves credit for what he did to have that interception. But then Pinnock also deserves credit because, again, he caught the ball. He
read that play. He read the scenario. He saw Fox bringing pressure. Coming down on the Lions under pressure.
Now stop. Collaborate and listen. Ice is back with a brand new addiction. Something grabs a hold of me tightly. Will it ever stop, yo? I don't know. Turn off the lights and I glow.
Quick.
Here we go. I can't help it. Every time you're under pressure, I still think Vanilla Ice. I know it's the same exact thing. There was a lawsuit over it, but I still think them both. Anyway. Yeah. Like I said, it's nice to see the Giants defense actually catching interceptions. How many times did we flip out last year because they'd missed it? They just dropped the damn pass. It's like
literally
thrown to them.
We throw right in the numbers. Poof, poof. Why is it on the ground?
I know. It's so along with that, Jason Pinnock also got in the second series for the defense, he got a tackle where he got tackled the rookie running back Gibbs behind the line of scrimmage as well. On a 4th and 1, he also knocked the ball out of rookie tight end Sam Laporta's hands in what would have been an obvious first down. So, yeah, he looked really so. We just mentioned 3 plays that were extremely important in the 2 series he played, and he was only in 5 plays.
Yeah, that's just like we said before. When you come out here and you're playing against a second team, second string, second team, B team, and you want to play for the A team, you got to beat them up. Yep. What did Pinnock do? 5 drives, 3 significant plays. Yeah, that's exactly what he was supposed to do.
He was like that old guy in the A team sitting there smoking a cigar.
I love when a plan comes together.
Nowadays, they never have that show. Like, ooh, a creepy old guy in a van with a cigar. That's not good. Oh, we lost Rob with that. All right. Let's get into special teams, though. We do have some special teams things to go over. Graham Gano, first off, looked to be in regular season form already. The guy was a freaking champ, as always. And, of course, Rob is coming back to hear us talk about Graham
Gano. Google did not like that conversation there.
Google did not like that conversation. So I was saying Graham Gano just looked amazing, as always.
As always.
Yeah. So doesn't even talk much about that. Graham Gano is Graham Gano. We do need to talk about the punt return that kind of solidified us losing the games. We lost the game by 5 points. We gave up a touchdown on a punt return. Now, before we even had the punt, there was a delay of game penalty. So we took forever to kick the ball, lost in field position in the process. Then we kicked the ball. It's about a 65-yard punt. Absolute bomb. Now, we all know my distaste for the Scottish Hammer. I'm going to upset John here in the comments section in a minute. So one thing I did was, as we're watching the replay, I did an unofficial time on my cell phone where I want to see the hang time on it. I clocked it from him kicking it to him being caught at 4.83 seconds. That's not bad hang time. So I can't complain on the hang time of it either. What I can complain about, and it's hard to say without getting a coach's all-22 film, which I wasn't available yet when I went to go try to rewatch things last night. There's about 20 yards between the returner and the closest possible tackler when that ball hit him. That's an issue. I don't know without seeing the all-22 of was that an issue because the team, the Giants weren't getting down there quick enough, or was it an issue because 4.83 is a great hang time, but if you're kicking it 65 yards, maybe it needs to be longer. Maybe you're better off doing a 5-second, time and doing a 55-yard punt. Maybe it needs a little more height in that punt. But again, without an all-22 film or a different view, I couldn't tell you which one is the issue if you're just watching the TV. I could tell you this. He had about 5 missed tackles against them within 10 yards. That's an issue. Brian Dable was freaking furious. You can tell he was looking over at,
That broke X or Twitter, whatever you want to call that platform these days. But he gave him that look. And he got, I don't know if you saw the press conference, was Saturday night or was it yesterday that they were talking about? I think it might have been Pat Train that brought it up and was like, give him a good old glare.
Yeah. I don't know if it was
Saturday. No, it's all good. We're just
Saturday night's all right. But
all right.
All right. Woo, woo, woo. But yeah, he gave him the absolute death stare. It's like all over the internet now. Keep in mind, T-Mac has been the special team coordinator now through 3 different coaches, head coaches, I should say. He's very, very well respected. Dable has proven himself to be a passionate person and to flip out pretty much once a game. It's what he does. I don't want to read too much into that. I think if Dable didn't want him on this team, he wouldn't have been on the team. I don't think it was a team acting like that. I think it was more of a, hey, this is your shit. Get your stuff together. I think that was more what he was going for.
That's 100% what I think that is.
Yeah, because that can't be happening. I don't care preseason or not. That cannot be happening. You cannot let a guy catch the ball with 20 yards between him and the closest person who can go ahead and tackle him, and then get to those tacklers, and there's 5 guys who miss within 10 yards. I mean, it was like boop, 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 boop. And it wasn't doing anything special. There was nothing crazy move-wise by the returner.
Double spin move.
Yeah, like Maurice Alexander is the name of the returner who got the touchdown. And yeah, he had a double spin move in there, but it wasn't like. But I'm saying it wasn't like this guy was making I'll make the Lions references there. It wasn't like he was making a Barry Sanders-esque kind of move. Like he spun a couple of times. That's normal. Pretty much every single guy that you're going to try to tackle is going to do one of 3 things. He's going to try to spin, he's going to try to stiff arm, or he's going to try to change direction. That's what you do. That's your options. It wasn't like he did something out of the ordinary or anything crazy. He did something you fully expect him to do. He's not going to just sit there and say, oh, please be gentle as you wrap me up to tackle me. He's going to try not to get tackled.
Yeah.
And, that was a pretty embarrassing play. And that was the difference between us winning or losing that game. 100%. Again, it's preseason. Doesn't matter. But it's one of those things you can't have happen when it does matter later on in the year.
Correct. I mean, just to piggyback off all that too, it's like something else that it's preseason, and I don't want to really get too into the weeds, but not finishing drives. Like,
You see, you're into weed.
goals. No, Whedon.
Brandon
not to get too much into Whedon. Yeah, no. I'm just saying.
Josh Whedon. Which Whedon are you?
No Marvel movies. No.
You're a big Buffy fan.
We didn't finish drives. I mean, Gano was 3 for 3 for a reason. That's 3 drives we couldn't finish, which would have changed the score, and that one play wouldn't have mattered. Even finish one of those drives wouldn't have made that bad.
Would have been tie.
Yeah. So that's another thing that it should be taken away, and that's something that I believe that Daves is also looking at as well.
Oh yeah, especially because you look at when we're having trouble completing the drives, it was with Tyrod Taylor.
Yeah.
They didn't even seem to be trying. That's the thing. They weren't even trying. And I think that's what it was. They didn't care if they won or lost. It doesn't matter. But that play scares them. Because if that happens in a regular season, they're in trouble. So, all righty. Any other points that you want to bring up here?
Think we have.
Since we lost you a couple times there. Making sure we don't have any other plans that you want to bring up or anything.
No, I think we're pretty solid. I heard most of the conversation. So they started talking about Roman stuff, and then I got kicked off of Google.
Yeah. So, yeah, like I said, guys, so we'll be back for you guys later on this week. So next up show for you there, we do have Wednesday is going to be planned for the Panthers and Giants preview show. We do have Thursday night, of course, as well to do. So some of this stuff we may be taping as well. Let's see how things go this week overall. But like I said, we'll definitely have everything ready to go for you guys there. We may even have a guest for the Panthers one. I might reach out to a couple people, so we'll have to see what we got there. But of course, as always, guys, if you enjoyed the show, hit the share, hit the like, hit the bell on YouTube, or if you really, really, really like the show, you can, of course, go over to the sponsorship page. That's at buymeacoffee.com/2giantgoofballs. You can do a one-time sponsorship there, just $3, or you can do subscriptions starting at just $5 a month there. And again, as always, we are on live right now, Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Keep in mind that's going to start changing, obviously, when the season starts up here pretty soon. But for now, that's the schedule, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, and, of course, Rob's favorite, my LinkedIn profile. Oh, yeah, my LinkedIn profile. And, of course, that we are also available on all the audio podcast platforms. That usually goes about an hour or two after the videos go live there. But they're all unedited for the most part. We just take a little bit of pauses, and that's it. So it's still like watching it live without the video portion. That's on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon, iHeartRadio, all the big major ones there. If it's not on the one that you use to get your podcast from, it just means you're using the wrong one. We have like 20 different things we're on. It's insanity how many. Should also give a good hello to everybody on the audio podcast platforms. That's new as well. We've seen about a 20% increase in downloads actually in the last week or two on audio versions there as people are ramping up for the start of the season. So welcome if you're new to the audio stuff there.
Hello out there in podcast land.
Hello. It's me you're looking for. Hello. Oh, yes. Got to end up with some Lionel Richie there. Let's see here. Before we go, we got a couple more comments here from John, who's just on a comment rampage here. He says, I still laugh when Mayor Bloomberg tried fitting it in at Giant Stadium when he said, "Are you down with JPP?" Sounded such a dork. Listen, that man can sound as foolish as he wants. I'll trade bank accounts at him any day of the week. He also says, grr, which I think is a reference to Tigger, because that's how you start spelling Tigger. I think it's Tiggr is how you spell Tigger. So I think that's what that was when he was upset about the Scottish hammer. He also said, Did you guys say anything about Zeke not being retained today? Cow Pukes didn't want him. Buy Zeke, LOL. Yep, we talked about him and him going to the Patriots, and also Dalvin Cook officially going to the Jets. I said I listened on Amazon, and you guys and you guys can't hear me. LOL. No, we can't. You're listening on the audio. No, we won't hear you back. It's not a live show on there with the speaker that we can listen to you. Thank you for clarifying that, John, in case anybody was confused. Alrighty, guys. We'll see you again back on Wednesday as we go ahead and do our preview show for the Carolina Panthers game there. Appreciate you guys always for listening there. We know you guys got plenty of options of where to get all your Giants news from. We appreciate you chose us two goofballs to be the ones to talk Giant football there with you. As always, Giant fans,
Go G-Man!
Go G-Man!
G-Man!
Thanks for listening to Two Giant Goofballs, a New York Giants podcast. We appreciate your support. If you made it this long, you must have enjoyed it. So I am sure you have followed us on all the social media platforms. Of course, you have subscribed to the show on your favorite app as well and given us a top rating. Right? Right? Right?